Yo, welcome. This is BboyTech artist interview series, and I got my man Rashid Hadee in the place with me. We're gonna talk about a lot of dope stuff, but right now let's check out this cut. What is it? It's not oral sex. This is press rewind. This is press rewind off his new joint oral sex. So check that out.
Since the first day that I seen her, I felt the chemistry in between us. Asked her if she had a man, she said no. I got a number, smiling at each other like we were some true lovers. A week later, we was undercovers, wilding out with no rubbers. Hit her with the lethal weapon like Danny Glover. I was just so happy to get to touch her. Finally thought I had found a zone of comfort. Could've sworn it was a match made in heaven. Then she took my heart and did a 187. See, I recognize seeing through lies. I see everything, staying with my eyes on the prize. See, I recognize. I see everything, so you better realize. Hit stop and press rewind. You better hit stop and press rewind. Try one more time, everything will be fine. I see everything, so you better realize.
Yeah. Dope stuff, bro. Dope stuff. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, brother. Very, very happy to be on here.
No doubt. It's good to have you, man. I've been checking you out for a while. It seems like we got mutual acquaintances, and we both from Chicago, and that's that rich Chicago hip hop history. So I'm always happy to give light to my brothers.
For sure.
No doubt. So, yo, for people that may not know, or even people that do know you and may want to know a little something more about you, tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you got started.
Well, I got started out in I was in Jackson, Mississippi at that time. Started out with a crew called Chapter 13 down there in Jackson, Mississippi. Linked up with a crew called Third Eye Entertainment. Okay. DJ Scrap Dirty, DJ J Clip, DJ Cousin B, DJ B Dub. A lot of cool brothers. My man Augustine, who's featured on a lot of records with me. But we was doing like a street team promotion type of thing for the Crooked Letters. Mm-hmm. I believe they were on Penalty Records at the time or something like that. And we were working with like David Banner and Kamikaze down there in Jackson.
Dope.
And I was just up under Scrap's wing and J Clip, everybody wing. Mm-hmm. I was the young dude. Me.
Right.
We freshmen, in college. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of got a taste of the rap life through that. How a dope album sounds, the components of it, how to promote it, what you put on flyers, how an album cover looks. I didn't experience that before. Prior to that, I always wanted to rap, and I had the talent, and I just started making beats when I first went to Jackson State in the computer lab.
Okay. Where you was making beats in the computer lab?
Yeah,
That's dope.
I discovered Cool Edit.
Mm-hmm.
And got to messing around. At first, I was using the audio recorder that came on the Windows computers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was using that at first, and you can mix paste on there, mix 2 audio files and paste them together. So I was able to like put some drums on a sample and
That's
loop.
dope.
I was like, okay, I know this wasn't really made to do this, what I'm doing. Maybe there's something out there, some software, something that's made to do that. And that's how I discovered Cool Edit. And I started making beats on that, you know, and the beats was, you know, they was coming out like crazy. They was dope. You know, so that just inspired me, but I didn't know what to do with it until I, you know, started coming around cats like Scrap Dirty and David Banner and Kamikaze and all these dudes down there and Gensu Dean and different people I, you know, just looked up to and came up under in Mississippi. But you know, I wound up moving to Chicago. Well, back to Chicago because I was born and raised here, of course.
Yeah.
I ended up moving back to Chicago and, you know, just was trying to find myself, just continuing to make music. And I'll never forget my cousin Reese. He had an opportunity. Well, we thought it was an opportunity to be on Future Flavors.
Okay.
With Pete Rock and Marley Marl. And, you know, of course, back then, during that time, I was just like head over heels, you know, like those my dudes.
Of course, heroes right there.
Yeah. So I was looking forward to that. So I was like, I ain't really got no music because I've been back in Chicago by myself trying to find myself. So started recording songs. And those first songs were was like the first draft of my first album, Dedication, you know. And I remember I had the flu. It was like a December. I had the flu. I'm steady recording because I'm like, man, I can't miss this opportunity. I got to show up with somebody. You know?
Yeah, you got to show up and show out. Yeah.
Because I was a decent artist, but I knew I had potential to be better. And I was still just growing as an artist, you know, I'm a young dude. Right. Trying to figure things out. And but you know, those songs, although we never did go to Future Flavors, that fell through. I don't even know what was up with that, you know, if it was all set in stone in the first place, but it inspired me to record those songs. And of those songs that we made, we had songs like The Rebirth, Watching My Moves, Demons, just like the first few songs, because like I was on like message boards like back then, you know, message boards like OK Player, The Lesson, the Justice League, The Line. I was on The Line. I was always on the internet, man, because I was a computer science major.
Yeah.
I used to be on like Homegrown Hip Hop Zone back in the day. A lot of people don't know about that. you'd be like, you know, writing out freestyle battles, you know, so you got to like literally read the person's rhyme, you know. So, you know, I kind of started sharpening my skills doing that. But you know, on the message boards, I put up records and stuff for people to check out. Cause I figured they mess with it because shoot, if y'all into hip hop, I'm sure y'all into what I'm making also, you know. And it caught the eye of my man Jerry Giuliano, Ricardo, with Neblina. Well, he wasn't Neblina yet though, you know. And so he believed in me. He messed with the music. He liked what he heard, and he wound up, you know, he hit me up one day. He was like, look, we're going to start the first online record label, NeblinaRecords.com. You know, are you interested? Me, I'm like, hey, let's do it. I ain't really did nothing else. You know, it was a little different for me because I'm in Chicago and they're based out of North Carolina.
Okay.
So so it was a little different, you know, because we couldn't really be in the same room. We was communicating over email and phone and stuff like that. But you know, we wound up putting out the first 12-inch, Watching My Moves, Chapter 13, with Demons on there and the Rebirth on the B side.
Mm-hmm.
And technically my first album, Nevermore's Asylum, Chapter 13 album, Nevermore's Asylum. You know, with a lot of bangers on there. People really messed with it and enjoyed the music. But you know, it wasn't until I dropped my first solo album when I started really gaining attention. And it just so happened like 2 months later, Little Brother's album, The Get Back, came out, which featured Dreams on there, song that I did the beat for. Yeah. So, you know, from there, it was just kind of like...
That was a dope cut, too. So props for that. That was a cut.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah. Thanks, bro. Yeah, so, but that pretty much just set the foundation right there to where I'm at now. Those was just my baby steps, though.
Right, right.
That was just getting started. You know, from there, you know, I did Serenade for the Moment with Analogic. Analogic on the beats, me on the rhymes. Came out on Soul Spasm.
Okay.
Released the mixtape that kind of exploded at the beginning of the blog era, as you all know it as now. You know, so
that's probably right with Fix Your Drive and all that. Yeah. Two Dope Boys and all that.
See, like these cats back then, they would reach out to the artists.
Yeah.
But of course, artists probably wouldn't be responding back. I just happened to be one of those artists that responded back. You know, so I got a chance to you know, build a relationship with guys that were running these different websites and stuff like that early on, back on like MySpace and all of that. So you know, 808s and Hadee comes out, and next thing you know, it's kind of like the ladder just keeps going up. You know, I was managed by my man Old School Ice Gree at the time. You know, and we was just building and building and building. So like,
hold on, pause right there. The 808s and wait, what was it called? I'm sorry, the 808s
and Hadee. Yeah,
808s and Hadee. And I remember the cover and all that. Talk a little bit about how that came about. Was it you would just kind of inspired by 808s and Heartbreak? Because it was a dope sort of flip. It was real dope the way you flipped it. So talk about that for a little bit.
I was inspired by it. I heard when I first heard the album. Only thing I heard just this. I can make beats out of this. You know, that's the first thing I heard. Like, I just heard some beats in my head. You know, everybody else like, oh, this is Kanye. I'm hearing potential beats that could be made.
You straight locked in on the music. Right.
I had a conversation with I can't think of who I was talking to right now. Please forgive me.
Oh, sorry.
But you know, I was having a conversation, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I was already thinking about it, so might as well. And so yeah, I wound up. I did a majority of all the beats in like over a weekend, and you know, finished it up casually over certain months because I went back and redid some beats, flipped it over again. Like I mean, you can hear it on the album. It's like multiple flips here and there, like on the like what I did with Amazing. You know, I had the joint Rhyme and Reason. Then I had like a little interlude between the song Amazing that we did on there. So it was like little beats in between there. And you know, down the line we put out a extended version, like a deluxe edition with 24/7 hip hop. My man Ronadab over there, we got together, put that joint together with some unreleased extra records on there that, you know, people hadn't heard. That was a little bit down the line. But yeah, man, that's pretty much what kicked it off. You know, now I'm you know, we've founded our own label, Gold Standard Collective. You know, I'm working with my man Neek, Fillmore Green, Since 9-6, Fable, Taiwan Davis, and my man Chuck 360, you know. Did I mention Fable? I did mention Fable, right?
Yeah, you did. You did.
But yeah, man, we all came together, you know, because over the years, from pretty much around that time period after 808s and Hadee, which got me known in Chicago. Like prior to that, Dedication days, I was mainly known in North Carolina.
Okay.
You know, by the artists and stuff there. You know, and like my first my first 12-inch actually was the B-side to K Hill's record, The Instigator, produced by Nick the Wonder. I was actually on the B-side of that, our song The Rebirth, Chapter 13. That's actually my first 12-inch actually.
Or so how'd you get on the B-side of it? Was it more like, label compilation type of situation?
Yeah,
two of our artists and like an A and B side?
Yeah. I think the only two artists on the label was me and K Hill.
Dope.
Yeah, so that was like signed to the label. It was me and K Hill. They did a compilation early on, Definition, that featured a lot of artists, underground artists from North Carolina. You know, your Legacy, Median, you know, K Hill, a lot of different cats, dope cats. The Away Team.
Okay.
You know, a lot of dope cats from there.
And I remember the Away Team.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. How'd you well, do you still keep in touch with all those cats? Y'all still collab and do things?
Yeah. Actually, me and K Hill collabed on the record a couple years ago called The Geechee Is Over.
Okay.
And that's out on all the platforms and stuff, Apple Music, Spotify, everything, Tidal. You know, we collabed on that. A lot of other people I haven't, but I still be in contact with a lot of people from that time period off and on.
That's pretty much fam, though. I know how that go. I mean, fam is fam no matter what. you run into them or link back up with them is like no time loss. Yeah,
it's funny because this past fall I went on tour. My man Fillmore Green opening up for Sky Zoo and Elzai.
Okay.
And one of our stops was in Chapel Hill, Raleigh-Durham area, North Carolina. Was one of our stops, and I got a chance to actually meet and put like physical faces on a lot of people I've been talking to over the years.
Yeah. Right.
It's great because I've been knowing K Hill probably longer than most people. That I came in contact with from there because we was on the same record, and plus I heard some of his early music because he had beats from like Knife Wonder and Crisis and all that. So, when he first came on the scene, it was just like music everywhere. Like, They flooded the internet, and they was deep. They crew was like 13 deep, 14.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was flooded, man. So, I came across K Hill and I always was digging his music and stuff like that. But I met him for the first time while we was on tour.
That's a trip. And all these years y'all been knowing each other. But let me ask you too, like you did the Dreams cut for Little Brother. How'd that come about? I mean, obviously it sounds like y'all ran in the same circles somewhat, but like how'd that moment happen where it's like, yo, that's the joint, that's what we use, and let's do this?
Man, it's funny, the story behind that. Like I met Little Brother early on in their career when it was like on their, I don't know, second tour or something like that when they came here to Chicago. Met them after the show because they were super cool. They actually would stick around and talk to people in the crowd, which was something I never really saw any artist do at that time. So they kind of changed the game with that because, mostly all artists, they do that in relationship with their fans stuff. But, they was like I think they were the first artists that I ever met, especially coming from out of town. But, after the show, got a chance to meet them and I actually had on a shirt. We had like some shirt. Me and my cousin Reese had some shirts made with Rashid Hadee on it. And he was like, "Yo, I heard you got the I was talking to Fonte. He was like, "Yo, you got the Rebirth joint. I fuck with that joint, yeah, I was like, yeah, man, that's me. And I had a CD. I brought a CD purposely to give to them,
Mm-hmm.
to check out my music and stuff. Left my number on there. So this was like a Sunday. On Monday, phone rings with North Carolina area code.
Right.
Ninth Wonder. I was like, whoa.
It was Ninth Wonder calling you on. That's crazy. Yeah.
So I got it. That's what I'm saying. I got a chance to build a relationship with a lot of people early on because I just met them at early stages.
Yeah.
Me and Fonte probably talked the most back then on AOL Instant Messenger and email and stuff like that. So I would send him beats every now and then. He'd be like, man, send me a pack. I sent him some beats. Like I was supposed to have some beats on the Separate But Equal.
Okay.
Tape, the DJ Drama.
Yeah.
I sent them some beats for that. But they wound up not using none of them. Okay. But it was like some of the later beats that I sent. And one of the beats in that pack was the Dreams beat.
Okay.
And it was like the last beat that I thought they would pick, but sure enough, they did it.
It was the one. Yeah.
Yeah. They did it, man. And I had no idea it would become like such a big, like the big record it is now.
Mm-hmm. It's a classic. Really, it's a modern classic.
Yeah, I didn't foresee it. I mean, like my first listen to it, like because they came back, they was on tour again in Chicago. They came back to Chicago. We was in like one of my homies' car, and we was listening to the joint, man. And I mean, it was just like the most amazing thing I ever heard. I don't know if or what. It was just amazing, man. The record was just, I mean, the whole album was just sounding extra phenomenal that night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. And fast forward, time after time, especially now, you got people, man, I see a new person releasing a song over that beat because they go on YouTube and get it off of there. Mm-hmm. And I see a new person releasing the song on it. Like it's been released so many times. I think under the song it's like actually somebody else's song.
Yeah, right. That ain't even the original beat from the original song. No doubt.
I'm like, man,
that's how you got a classic though. That's definitely how you know you got a classic because listen, as MCs and places we show up and get on the mic, or if it's ciphers, it is some wherever, some club, somebody's crib, or even out of somebody's trunk, there's certain beats you gonna hear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can already expect that when you are in those kinds of situations, you're gonna hear certain beats. So that must be an honor to kind of know that like you a part of that sauce. You know what I mean?
It definitely is, because man, I couldn't even imagine my career without that record.
Yeah, that's what's up. And so what came about after that? Like, because I can remember too when it dropped, there was a lot of hometown pride just because like, yo, Rashid Hadee from the crib, he did this joint with, at that point they was kind of blowing up. They was becoming the not the bubbling under and starting to bubble over a little bit.
Yeah, I mean? Yeah, it was real hot, man. Like I'm telling you, like, and it wasn't like the first week it's like, and the second week it's like, it's like half of that. And the third week is like, half of that second week. Right. No, it was like, actually it started low. And then I want to say like by December, it was just like nuts. Like, my inbox on MySpace was going nuts.
Yeah.
When I was out, cause I started getting like even more shows after that time period. Cause like, mind you, my first album had just came out. It was featured in like The Source, Double XL, and all kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was already, but the little brother joint just kind of put it over the top. Yeah. So I was doing like 3-4 shows a week at a certain point, back then, and it went from I noticed everybody at the shows, they approached me more, yo, you Rashid Hadee, and like giving me props and stuff like that and respect. So yeah, man, that's like the biggest change happened like after that Dreams record came out.
No doubt. It's all it takes is one. It's all it takes is one dope one. That's dope though.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you about your influences. I almost feel like you answered it already though, because we was talking about Pete Rock and those guys. Who are some of your biggest influences on beat making and even emceeing? Because it's a dual-edged sword there.
Yeah. Like as far as making beats, like my biggest influences is like Dilla and Madlib and Ninth Wonder, High Tech, like DJ Premier, like DJ Premier and Pete Rock. Like when I first started making beats, like I pretty much was just trying to mimic what they were doing. I didn't know what it was. Like I remember when I was super duper young, like early teens, I thought they was just like on the keyboards, like I was like, what drum machine are they using? What is that? The instrument sounds so real. But I found out, after I got around all my DJ homies, J Clip and all them, they would play me, the original versions of just like my favorite songs, and it just would,
I love that though. That's the stuff that made me start record digging.
Yeah,
I had a homeboy, DJ X-Ray, from the West Side. That was a homeboy of mine, and I remember we would go to his crib. Sometimes he'd be talking about producing for Twista. We would go to his crib, and he'd be we'd be talking about producing some new stuff, and he would just go into this Rare Grooves things where basically he would play all the originals of all the joints that we was loving at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he would be cutting it up and blending, and we would just be sitting in his crib like, whoa.
Yeah.
That made me start going to dig for records and stuff.
Yeah, man. Once once I got especially Gensu Dean, because he's like, the crate digger supreme.
No doubt.
He's an infinite book of knowledge, man.
Yeah.
Count to that. And I remember early on I went to his crib, and he was just playing records, like stuff I didn't, I had no idea, because actually he wouldn't tell you what he's playing. Like he actually would take a CD and put it over the label.
Right, of course. That's what it was. See, ain't that a trip though, Rashid? Like nowadays, like for instance, for me specifically, I'm online. I'm like the whole people I'm around, we share, right? That's part of the YouTube era.
Right.
But back in the day, coming up in hip hop and in the neighborhoods, you wouldn't know what nobody was spinning or sampling. They'd cover up however they need to. Some cats had special like cover up labels that they would put on their records or scratch them out or whatever they had to do.
And tell you a thing, man.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And see, like records, once they were out of print, You had to find those at a store, eBay maybe. If you get lucky, but you couldn't even figure out what to look for. When most people couldn't. Of course, I had a little trick up my sleeve back then. It was a little website I came across, thebreaks.com. Yeah, so
no doubt. So was the breaks.com, was that the same as like, were they the ones that carry all the breaks? Because I know there was a site back in the day that carried like a disc for your MPC where it said all the breaks, and it was shrouded in controversy.
No, that's totally different.
Okay, it's a different
all
thing.
The breaks have like it's like 300 drum breaks on there.
Yeah.
I think I don't know.
I think it was Breakbeat Lou or somebody like that. Maybe
I heard YG. I done heard all kind of stuff. But yeah, man, that's the famous joint right there. But now the breaks, it was they had a lot of more popular stuff. It wasn't really that in depth, like it was like the more well-known underground stuff.
Okay, I feel you.
It wasn't like you'll find out all the Freddie Hubbard and Axelrod. You could, Milt Jackson's and stuff like that, Lonnie Liston Smith and stuff like that. You'll find you'll find out all about all of that. But like most records, you could go Google all you want to. You're not finding, like you might, like on All Music, they might have something. But once the record was out of print, it's out of print. We talking about records from the 60s, 70s.
Yeah. Well, that's that prime time right there.
Yeah.
Like it became a situation, man, where you live in a big city with enough cats that's doing music, and you can't find certain records just because you have to, or if you found a spot where you can find certain records, that almost have to be like your lick. Like, yo,
Yeah.
I ain't telling nobody about that spot before.
Yeah.
You know, or you have to use your community of DJs, MCs, beat makers, and stuff, that the few that you may have around you to know what's what, and that they may have, like, that's what I'm saying. Like that dude X-Ray, he knew every damn record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could easily ask him like he was, you know, that app that you say, yo, hum the song into. You could ask him, and he might be like, hold on. He'll go over there and pull a record for you.
Yeah.
But there's a question saying, how long did it take for you to find your sounds? Like when you had to do a lot of record digging, when stuff wasn't as readily available as it is today. Like, was that a chore? Was that, you know, just part of the passion of it all?
Man, you just had to get lucky, man. To be honest, like I got lucky in my crib in Mississippi. Like I was staying with my uncle. You know, rest in peace. But he had a box of records in his closet. Like he moved back to Chicago, and you know, while I was in college there, I was able to stay in the crib there, you know, and for a little bit of time. But we ain't gonna go into that. I did songs about it back then. I know this dedication to hit a backstory on that. But you know, in this closet, it was a box of records with like, I don't know, maybe like 300 records in there, man.
Damn, that's a little gold mine.
So I got lucky, man. So, you know, just going through records. Oh, damn, that's the sample for this, a sample for that.
Yeah.
So I remember one record. It's funny, you know, when you dig, you really dig. Like I came across a record by a band called Young Holt Unlimited. Okay. So I put the record on, and I hear like the sample for one of my favorite records. You know, I'm like, oh man, it's not. I mean, I might as well just go and say it. People just gonna Google it. But yeah, it was the sample for the Quickland Dodgers, Return of the Quickland.
Oh, dope. To
be honest with you, when I heard that beat when I was a shorty, that's what made me want to make hip hop. Like the way
that's crazy. So that's almost like kismet. That's like fate for you to find a record like that in your uncle's closet.
Yes.
And that's the song that actually made you want to do it. Here's the interesting thing about stuff like that. I firmly believe that it's probably a cut that you had heard earlier in your life before you could even put the memory to it.
Maybe.
That's the reason it hit you that way. You know what I'm saying? From your uncle playing it. You know what I mean? I believe stuff like that.
It's funny, like the story don't even end there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I find out about this band, and you know, back then I go straight to Google back then because I'm trying to see what I can find, more information on it. Because if I find like an artist that I really mess with their music, like when I found out about like Isaac Hayes, you know, infinite sea of music, but you don't, until you know about Isaac Hayes, you don't know about Isaac Hayes.
That's right.
You know, so like, you know, I looked them up. Come to find out, it's my uncle's band, LD Young.
Get out of here! What?
my grandfather's brother is LD Young.
Okay.
Young Hope Unlimited is LD Young and Red Hope. Okay. You know, they play with Ramsey Lewis with the Ramsey Lewis trio. So it gets deeper and deeper.
That's all.
I'm like, oh man, you mean to tell me on like most of the records, like classic records, this is my uncle playing on these?
Yes,
like,
that's in your DNA. That's it. Like that stuff is, and so that's why I say you probably had heard some of it, maybe don't remember.
Never know. You know, but you know, my uncle LD, he was always on the road touring. Like he was always in other countries. You know, he'd be in Korea and China. You know, out there playing and stuff like that. So I never really got a chance to kick it with him and sit down with him and stuff.
I see. Yeah. So that's something that we have in common then, you know, being both from Chicago. My uncle is a jazz trumpeter too, and he's played with a lot of folks. I wouldn't be surprised that our uncles played together. Man, at some point or knew each other. You know what I mean? So, and that's what I think is so dope about Chicago. It has a deep musical sort of history. It's a rich musical history. Those that soul grooves, jazz and blues and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of stuff from the people would dig from record digging and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's always been kind of that interesting thing to me that it's always kind of like that. It's the bubbling under this sort of rich history of that musicality. So that's what's dope to hear about you saying like, yo, then I checked out this record and it's my uncle. I found a record like that with my dad, was in a soul crooners group. And I was like, yo, what? That's my dad? Like, it didn't mess my head up. But yeah, that's dope though.
Man, it's crazy, man. And it's funny, you know, you mentioned that because, you know, as I got to digging, you know, I just happened to get curious one day and go on Discogs and type my father's name in there because, you know, I had already known, you know, he played the guitar and the drums and stuff like that. So I already know he was a musician and stuff, but I thought he just, you know, was playing like on live shows because I know he used to play like live with like Jackie Wilson and stuff.
Okay.
But never did know he cut a record.
What?
So I go on Discogs, just look up his name. His name at the time was Harold Smith. He had changed his name to Harold Hadee later on. But look, and it's like he's playing on a record by The Imaginations.
What?
You know, The Imaginations is you know, it got a lot of
classic jump
that mess with it. Like, I mean, I want to say, what was the last thing I heard? Matter of fact, it was sampled on the new J Electronica.
Oh, word.
Second to last record, you know, which was also sampled by Just Blaze on Talib Kweli joint. Y'all know what I'm talking about, everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, man, you know, he put his
crazy, man.
But he, you know, dug some more, found out he played with a band called Larry and the Hippies. Larry and the Hippies.
Okay.
You know, worked with what's my man name? Like Tom 80s. He always would have his name be like Tom 87, Tom 73.
Okay.
Tom Washington.
Yeah.
Clarence Johnson, I believe.
Dope.
Like people that was like the heart and soul of that 70s soul era.
Right.
Going up and down Michigan Avenue, Record Row and stuff like that. I'm talking about VJ Records, Brunswick. I'm talking Chess Records. I'm talking about all that.
Yeah, you know? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I love that, man. That's a whole conversation in itself. And I think too, so when I listen to your music, it feels so soulful and it comes across. And now I know why. Like, this is my first time us actually having a conversation. But like you know what I mean? You got a rich appreciation for the musical history of Chicago, and then it's intertwined with your own family too. So you know what I'm saying. So I dig that, man. But hey, I want to jump into a question here. There's I think you may have mentioned this earlier on. Said, what's your first piece of equipment you learned to make beats on? Well, actually, first piece of equipment, because before you were saying that Cool Edit was your first sort of foray into making beats that way. But what about equipment when it comes down to it?
My first equipment, I just always say my first equipment was a computer. The reason why I say that is because it was so unheard of to make beats on a computer at that time. You know, everybody had MPCs and SP1200s and ASRs. You know, I saw a lot of ASRs back then. You know, and but you know, Cool Edit, and then I kind of went from Cool because the beat making process on that, like it used to take me. Sometimes it would be fast, but I would say I averaged like 2 hours to make a beat.
Yeah,
because you're literally taking time. You know, you're manipulating sound and time. Like you have to highlight those hundreds of milliseconds and stuff like that, and repeat it. You know, your hi-hat, then you got to place the snare in the right place. You know, you got to do all this other stuff, and you know, it wasn't no tracking out. So if you want to have the tracks, you have to work in like multiple windows and stuff. And you know, by the time you did it all, and you made the beat the right way, like tracked out, or at least if it's not tracked out, you got your variations. You got your version with just the music. You got your version with the music and the drums. You know, or you got your maybe you might want to vary it up. You know, second half of the 16 on the hook.
Right.
Bridge in there. You might want to vary it up. So you'll have all these different files. But, you know, I went from that. And once I discovered like Fruity Loops, I I want to say it was like Fruity Loops 3.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was on when I moved back to Chicago, my cousin bought me a computer because I didn't have a computer, and it was on there. You know, I was still using Cool Edit, and I was like, what is this Fruity Loop stuff? You know, this was like weird. I'm like, it's got a fruit on there. Like,
right. It was foreign when it first came in. That was around the time too, or maybe just around that time, the stuff like Napster and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a lot popping off with computer stuff and music stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, once I got into Fruity Loops though, I graduated. Like I graduated. Like I was like really making some heat.
Fruity Loops got a lot of tools in there. Even back then, like that wasn't like anything else. There was a lot you could do in there. And I felt like there was maybe 2 sites or so, and if you were sampling, you was good. But I felt like there was 2 websites or something back in the day that you could start to buy samples from.
Yeah.
You know, that was early on where it was like, yo, you can buy kicks and snares and samples for your MPC, but even if you use a Fruity Loops, you could take those samples and throw them in there and get busy.
The 808 drum kits, you could get that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. You know what's funny? You mentioned something a minute ago about like being younger, you don't quite know like what is Pete Rock and Marley Marl and those kinds of guys, what drum machine they using that sound like that. Because if somebody I had a friend of the family, he loaned me his, I don't know, it was Dr. Rhythm, Dr. Balls, and a 303. He loaned me a drum machine and a 303, and I was hitting them drums, and all I'm listening to is straight classic hip hop though, right? And that drum machine ain't sounding like that.
Yeah.
Years later, I saw an interview with Russell Simmons, or somebody was talking about Russell Simmons and saying how he used to be going crazy in the studio with Run DMC and them and whoever he was producing, because he would be like, yo, how the hell Marley Marl get his snares to sound like that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He didn't realize that Marley was sampling records.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it took me a while. So you said that I could relate totally, because it took me a while to realize, like, oh, you got a sample. And I started going to real studios and making friends who had DJ equipment and MPCs and stuff. And I start realizing what was going on. That's a revelation. Yeah. When you realize that.
Yeah, it's like your whole world it just all makes sense then.
Yeah.
Well, especially after you see somebody actually use it.
Yeah.
Like you can see the machine, you can hear about it, but once you see how somebody use it, I was blessed enough to have my man Gensu Dean in my life, and my man Illa Bob Kane from Jackson, and David Banner, DJ Fingerprint. They all had like equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, I got a chance to like see it, like, man, like Dean, he taught me how to chop up drums. And it was just by him chopping up drums in front of me and sequencing it. And I just learned it, and I had a different approach with it. Because before, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out. But it just changes your whole approach once you see a professional in action.
Yep, totally flips it.
Yeah.
Like, and then for you to get it for yourself, and then to start to, figure your own way out using some of those techniques. That's what's up. And so, something else I remember about Ninth Wonder saying how he was using Fruity Loops, and they would have it wouldn't beat battles, but they would kind of be like beat showcases. And he said he would be the only dude coming up with a straight up HP desktop computer, a screen, keyboard, and mouse.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever get into beat showcases, beat battles and stuff?
Yeah. Not everybody had laptops.
Yeah, of course.
So if you wanted to take your equipment on stage, like it's not like it's a MPC 2000 XL. Like you gotta take your whole thing up there. And I remember when that happened. I think it was B Society. Yeah, man, and he had to take the whole.
He got busy though.
I never forget when he first came out. Like before I met them, they just had like the Little Brother website, littlebrother.com at that time, and they would have pictures of them and stuff. So it was like one picture of them working in the studio. I think all my Little Brother fans out there know what I'm talking about. the picture when he had on the winter gloves. He had on, like it was cold outside gloves, like them.
The cold outside.
I don't know why he was sitting at the keyboard. You know, I don't know if the beat was just cold and he was just trying to say that.
Like it's frozen. It's too cold.
Yeah, but I looked at his computer and I saw Cool Edit, and I was like, oh, that was like the first person outside of my circle that I told about it.
Yeah.
About Cool Edit, you know.
That's dope.
There was just like totally a stranger. That was the first person I even seen with it. So I was like, oh, he got the Cool Edit.
Yo, that should be a t-shirt. He got the Cool Edit. That's dope. I love that, man.
That's why he's such a big influence for me.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, also I consider him a peer also, but he's like, I put him up there with Dilla and all of them, man.
Of course.
Ad-lib. I put him up there with them back when I first heard them, back when all the beats was mysteriously leaking online.
Yeah.
You know, hundreds and hundreds of beats. You could just listen to beats all day on like Napster and different file websites. You know, and I already knew he was a problem then, man. I already knew.
Yeah, I remember hearing him early on before a lot of people got up on him, and I remember being, say, at my man's crib, we're about to record something, and he'd be listening to, you know, Little Brother. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I remember coming in there and thinking like, yo, what's this? And he would be like, it's Ninth Wonder, Little Brother. And that's kind of how I got up on him. And from then it's been like, yo, this to me, here's the thing. There's the classics that I love, like A Tribe Called Quest and that whole vein of music. Yeah. And I feel like there's a certain lineage that groups keep falling into that pocket. Yeah. Not that they're trying to be Tribe Called Quest and groups and artists, but it's just there's a certain sort of thing that runs through all of these groups that feels similar and soulful and sort of raw. And but you know what I'm saying? Like it feels familiar and good. You know what I mean? And I knew that once I heard Little Brother, it was like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
that's dope. That's dope.
I knew it when I first heard him, man. I want to say, I think Speed was the first record, and then I heard like Far Away From Me. And after that, I was sold, man. I was sold, and you know, they music, like they was on the same type of vibe as me and my crew was. You know,
yeah. And I hear that in your music too. I hear that it's like it's that same sort of lineage and DNA that I'm talking about. Like it kind of falls into a certain pocket.
Yeah, we had more of I always said, like, you know, because like, you know, we had dropped the album early on that never was released, and we always say that you know, like Little Brother is that little thing. It's like they had that more of a, I want to say, a Dilla high tech influence, but we had more of a like a down south 8-Ball MJG.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like all of that, you know, different areas.
Yeah, yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
We had 808s and dirty samples and smacking snares and 808s, you know.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, man, that's what's happening. So let me ask you though, nowadays with your creative process, like what you working with now? You still use like FL Studio, or you graduated to one of the other groove boxes, or what you use now?
I think I last used FL in like 2009, 2010. That was probably the last time. But you know, I went from that to Ableton Live around 2010, I want to say. Made a bunch of dope beats in that, but
Ableton is dope.
Yeah, I love Ableton, man. I love it, man. It's so versatile. I used it to make beats, record songs. I done took it on stage with me. I done edited video in Ableton. I done did everything.
No doubt. That's true. That's how powerful it is.
Yeah, but I went to the Machine after that.
Okay.
Because Machine MK2 had came out.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I got to get that Machine because it reminded me of an MPC. You know, because like I had like my first controller was an MPK.
Okay.
MPK 49.
Yeah.
and I also had like a 25 also
Mm-hmm.
that I use here and there. But that was my closest thing to the pads, to having some pads, because I went from clicking that mouse and you just be sitting there still like this. The beat just banging.
And the beat banging, but you gotta work that mouse. You know?
Just clicking.
You gotta see where it is.
Once I got to that point, I knew it was like, okay, this is getting boring. Like, I'm cranking out beats in like 5 minutes. I like mastered Fruity Loops. Like, it's like 4, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and beat is done. Like simple, just to the point, dope beat.
You knew your formula at that point too.
Yeah, but it wasn't it wasn't making me move because it wasn't created like that. But once I got used to the pads on the MPK, because I had to teach myself the timing and everything. I had to teach myself. I went like, I want to say 3 months straight just tapping the pads to the metronome. I started at the bottom. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
My timing was off, man. Like,
it's time to get that right.
Yeah, man. So I practiced.
You know what's funny about being a beat maker is, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, yo, you start making beats, you got to find the rhythm and be on time and know how to hit those drums and program those drums and those samples to the metronome. But then once you get real seasoned with it, now you want to come off the metronome. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna put a little get between the notes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's a trip. You aim at that and then you start, now you're moving around it a little bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's what's up.
But yeah, that from that, and they started making these controllers that was actually looking like MPCs, like machine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, let's go for that. So I got my first machine. I want to say it was like 2014. When I first started school at SAE Institute, got my machine, and it took me. It was like a learning curve, man. It was difficult at first, man, but
I can imagine.
I want to say after 2 months, because machine, man, I don't know, it just threw me off when I first started using it. I couldn't figure it out. I was banging out some beats. Like, I banged out some good beats, decent beats, starting off, even not knowing what I'm doing or, how to set it up, a song, in there, and your patterns, like, it just was weird. But, once I got it, it's like, I could just use it with my eyes closed. Like,
it is.
The only thing I pulled up the software for is to load a file. That's it.
After that, it was straight on the machine. Yeah, that's what's up.
The only reason I do that, I would load it into the library, but I got over 100,000 drum hits, so it's take a long time to load all that, man.
Yeah.
When I loaded it up, it took like I had to let it ride overnight.
Yeah, it got like a ton of stuff going in there.
Yeah, man. It took almost 24 hours. It took a long time, man.
I could imagine, man. Loading them sample libraries can be an intense experience. That's why when cats experience some sort of hard drive problems, it's like, I had to make a drink a couple times because I thought my hard drive died, and it didn't die. I had already dumped it to another hard drive. Didn't remember I dumped it to another hard drive.
That's the word.
Make a drink, like, man, the whole album gone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So let me ask you, if you had to be, this is a really cliche question, but I like to ask it. Like deserted island, what's the gear that you would want to have with you if you was on a deserted island?
Like to make beats?
Yeah.
Man.
But would it even be that important on a deserted island? Would you be trying to get off that joint so you can get away from that and get to the studio?
Make some stuff out of raw materials, But like, man, I mean, shit. If I got my machine and my phone, and a laptop, we cook it.
That's what's up.
If I got my MPC 500. My phone, we making beats all day.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's actually MPC 500. That's one of them joints that people kind of, I feel like, slept on because it's real portable and you're still kind of getting down into the MPC.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Still that workflow. You still got the workflow, but I think it's the fact that you don't have any waveforms to look at.
Yeah.
that you know people can't really, because you know a lot of people like to work by eye, but I like it because I get to work by ear, you know, off of feel, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I take my MPC 500 with me whenever I go out of town. You know, I always have it because I can run off batteries. You know, like
yeah,
on a beat in the airport or whatever, on the plane, whatever, and it don't look. You know, it's not that. Like you don't have too many people looking over, like, oh, what's that? You know?
Because it's kind of low profile and it's kind of incognito.
Yeah,
the MPC Live is out here now with it got the battery, but it is kind of big.
Yeah,
5,000. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, that joint got some width to it. Pause. Yeah, you know, you know. Like I bust out my laptop and my controller during the time period. You know, that was probably the mobilest setup I had because I didn't have a laptop for a long time.
Yeah.
I got the laptop here. I got the controller here. I got these wires and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this is just too much on this plane. People asking me questions.
Yeah, you can't get nothing done. Yeah. You'll stay in your business.
Yeah, you got to pull your headphones off, huh?
Yeah,
you know, you got to keep doing that because you know people are walking past, coming from the. Oh, what's that? Oh,
yeah. They're all in amazement, but then you're messing your creative space up over here.
I'm like, it's just a game. I'm just playing a game.
Right.
You know, but
dope.
Yeah.
Let me also ask you so we got a few more minutes, but I wanted to ask you this though.
Oh. I never did answer your question of what I'm using now. So now, you know, I use the MPC Renaissance.
Okay.
Mainly, but I'm using the Machine MK2 also.
Okay.
You know,
you using them in conjunction together, or you use them depending on what mood you're in, one or the other?
Right now, I'm using them in conjunction together.
Okay.
You know, I use the Renaissance for maybe I want to say the last 3 years. I just started using Machine last week actually.
Okay.
But I'm using the Renaissance as the interface.
Dope. Okay. So what made you go back and get the Machine again? Was it nostalgic, or you? I know for me, sometimes I'll be like, yo, I'm working with these two pieces because I want to be in a certain headspace. You know what I'm saying? Is it one of those kinds of things that made you pull up the Machine again?
I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it, but I just make better beats in it, bro. Like, you know, like I don't know what it is about it. Even like, cause like a lot of my beats that I made in Machine is on me and Fillmore Green's record, Chicago Third City.
Okay.
So that album probably had a sprinkle of, you know, some Fruity Loops here, you know, beats, some Ableton beats, but it was like primarily beats off of Machine. You know, and the next projects we got coming up is a lot of joints I did on Machine and the Renaissance too. But you know, I've been using the Renaissance and I love it, man. I love the way it looks. I love the workflow because it got that real good MPC workflow.
Yep. And it does look, actually, I do like the Red, man. I had the Red for a good few years. I can't even remember how many years, but that was my joint. Like I use it to death because it kind of has a classic look, but all the new workflow.
Yeah, man. And you know, that's what I love about it, man, because I had always wanted like an MPC 60 or 62.
Yeah.
You know, I had always wanted that. I'd be on eBay just staring at it. Like,
straight up. And watching that price go up and up over the years. It's crazy.
Stupid.
Yeah.
But you know, so I copped the Renaissance, you know, put the Machine to the side. But you know, I'm back on it, man. Like I just got better beats in there. To me, like the Renaissance, I got some dope beats in the Renaissance. Don't get me wrong. But it's just something about the beats in the Machine.
Yeah. I get it. Some joints just listen, I know how to use a bunch of different like joints. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's the MPC or it's the Force, or never really jive too much with Machine, but I know how to use it. You know what I'm saying? I can make beats in it. So it's a bunch of different things that you might know how to use, but there's always that one joint that may resonate a little more with, that you can kind of get around and move around on. You know what I'm saying? Like much easier than everything else, second nature even.
Right.
You know, so I get it. I definitely get it.
Right.
Let me ask you about the connection to Culture Power 45.
Oh man, that's family. You know,
Or,
I'm a part of Culture Power 45 as well. You know, with my man Taiwan Infinito. You know, Culture Power 45 is just it's a record label that only releases physical products, mainly vinyl. You know, and it's just a movement. It's like a cultural movement. It's like something for, you know, hip hop heads that you know what I'm saying, enjoy like a good experience, like reading liner notes and, you know,
that's what I'm talking about.
On the record and just hearing something that you could just sit back and vibe to, however you do it, and have some wine, you know, roll some up, whatever, you know.
No doubt.
You know, there's people that enjoy the experience, man, because I mean, you can't really take a turntable in the car with you. So, you know, this is creating the setting of where the music is going to fit in your life. So, you know, that's what I really mess with it. I dig about it, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a movement, man. You know, we early on, you know.
What I see is that it's a movement, and there's power in movements, though. You know what I'm saying? Like with me and my fam doing Mod Bap, the cats that do Mod Bap, it's a movement because it's like, it's how we walk, it's how we talk, it's everything about what we do. When you truly believe in something and everybody is putting their effort behind it, it's a movement. And that's what's up. I could see that there's a cohesiveness in all the releases from Culture Power 45 too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a great theme to it, you know. Great artists, you know, doing the artwork, you know, Infinito.
Yeah, the artists. Is it one person or is it multiple people doing the artwork? Because it's pretty dope. It's really incredible.
Dada Soulface has done a few covers, you know, and that's how I met him, through that, you know. So, and he's gonna be doing a lot of my like he did the cover for Oral Sex.
Okay.
And hooked that up, you know. So and we got another single coming out soon called Deli Slice, with all of us as artists on there you go. But all of us all on Gold Standard.
Okay.
All on one, just Wu-Tanging it, man. Just on one joint.
That's
Boss, you know, produced by yours truly, of course. But he did the artwork for that. That single gonna be coming out soon. We just working out things with the distributor.
But what's the single?
It's gonna be called Deli Slice. It's not out yet.
It's not out yet. Okay.
You know, I'm hoping, like, you know, at some point in April it'll be out. It's supposed to been out already, but you know, working out things with the distributor.
Okay. Well, yo, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's been a good time talking to you, bro. I'm glad we got a chance to chop it up. And have you back on with your next project and stuff. And even when you're doing stuff with other cats in the fam, you know, hit me up. Let's get on here and chop it up about the projects and stuff. Because this, you know, this whole thing is, I just want to, you know, I do my Beat People podcast, and that's real gear heavy, but I want to be able to talk to artists, and that's what this show is about. And that's why I hit you up, say like, yo, let's holler, let's talk about the new project and stuff. So anything you want to say in closing, bro?
No, I just want to say, like, you know, stuff like this is much needed so people could get a different perspective, because sometimes, you know, people may judge you or prejudge you, should I say, before they really understand what you're about. You know, they might think you in one box, but you actually in another box. But, you know, I also want to say, yeah, man, check out the music. Oral Sex, you know, that came out, you know, it was officially released last year. The Dreamer EP was also released last year. Joints like Feels Good, The Dreamer, Night Train, they doing pretty stupid right now. Also, I dropped a record with my man Water last year, Sunday Breakfast. So those latest releases. I got Lupe Fiasco 2 on deck. So if y'all hadn't checked out 1 yet, go ahead and do that because 2 is coming real soon and it's better than 1.
No doubt. Yeah. But yeah, dope stuff, man. I'm gonna play a joint to ride us out. And like I said, I appreciate you coming out, and everybody go check out Rashid Hadee. What can they find you at?
And you can find me RashidHadee.com. You can find me on whatever social media at Rashid Hadee. Follow me. I pop in every now and then with some interesting stuff. So you never know. I might throw up a beat video here and there.
Yeah.
But, I'm always doing something somewhere. So,
Word. Well, my man, I appreciate you, man. Let's get into this music, and I'm gonna just throw the album cover up, and we'll go from there. All right, peace, y'all.
But her mind is her own mind, can't control that. She sleeping on a nigga, can't no dose that. No 5-hour shots. Let's skip the story, go straight to the plot. She classic, David Axelrod, Earth rock when the earth stop. No 4, no 3, 2 is the first spot. Trying to connect like merging on the interstate. Feeling great when I feel my words start to penetrate. Trying to build, but it ceased before we get tall. Nothing cool than running full speed into a brick wall. That rejection, now you walking with your head down. Time to get ahead now. Can't make me man down or stand down, living on a damn cloud. We can play how you wanna play, do what you wanna do, make what you wanna make. All day, yo, it's something that I wanna love. All day, it's something that I wanna say. All day, we can play how you wanna play, do what you wanna do, make what you wanna make. All day, yo, it's something that I wanna love. Always, it's something that I wanna say. All day, we can play how you wanna play, do what you wanna do. So I love her, maybe I don't know though. And this is pressing and it's intensive and it's no resentment.